Hi, welcome to the second episode of how to improve your speaking skills. In the first episode, we gave an introduction on how this series of lessons will look like. Well, in this episode, we're going to give you some basic information on pronunciation that is going to be very, very helpful and useful in your communication. Well, I'll be your host for this lesson, and my name is Issah. Well, the motivation of today's lesson will be to give students the platform they need in terms of strategies and skills that will help them to improve their pronunciation. By so doing, students will be able to boost their interest in speaking. This will create a much safer, confidence, and much self-trust way of communication. The motivation of this lesson gave me the chance to give you the content of today's lesson, which will look more like we looking into long sounds and short sounds as it is being used in pronunciation. Then we'll then look at the short sounds as it is being applied in terms of English reading and its pronunciation. The O and U sound, which happens to be one of the problematic when it comes to short sounds, will be looked into, and some basic rules will be addressed in this content or this episode. Well, the English alphabet has 26 letters. Now, out of these 26 letters, 5 of them happens to be the vowels, as can be seen from the left side of the screen. The remaining 21 letters, as can be seen from the right side of your screen, are the consonants. Now, most of the pronunciations and the interest on producing the correct pronunciation of a word is focused on these vowels. So we will be focusing on these vowels for this lesson. Well, the vowel or the vowel sounds are two as in English. Well, we have the first one that we call the short sound, and we have the second one that we call the long sound. Well, sometimes the long sounds are also called the main sound, and the short sounds sometimes are also referred to as other sounds. Well, let's take a deeper look into what the short sound is for this lesson. Now, technically, the short sounds are defined technically written as can be seen from the screen. However, each of these letters have their individual pronunciation. Some of these letters have two different ways of pronunciation, which will be seen as we move on with the lesson. So now let's just dive into the pronunciation, taking them one after the other. Now in English, the letter A as a short sound has two ways of pronouncing. It can be pronounced as E, or it can be pronounced as A. Now, let's take a look at the pronunciation again. The letter A as a short sound can be pronounced as E, or it can be pronounced as A. Now, how do we understand the right pronunciation and how it has been used? Well, this is just the basics, the start of the lesson, so we will not actually be looking more into this for now. But let's look at the pronunciation as it applied in the vocabularies can be seen. Now, notice that these vocabularies are the same vocabularies that can be seen here. However, notice the difference in pronunciation as can be seen from the left and the right. The first pronunciation of this word here will be e, apple, apple, dance, cat, can, candle, candle. Now, looking at the second part or the right side, it is a, apple, dance, cut, can, candle, candle. Notice the difference in the pronunciation. For this one, it is read as candle. However, this is pronounced as candle. This difference in the short sound for the A letter is mostly common among natives English, where E is much common or most common among the American. A is mostly common among the British accent. Now let's take a look at the second vowel. E is pronounced as E. Notice the name of the letter is completely different from its pronunciation. E is the name of the letter, however, in pronunciation, E is a sound. So let's take a look at this pronunciation. Wet, bet, settle, better, letter, belt, felt, melt, dent, desk. Notice how the name of the letter becomes different in terms of its pronunciation, as the name of the letter doesn't represent the sound of the letter. E has the sound E as a short sound. The next vowel is an I. The letter I has the pronunciation or the sound E. Notice how the sound and the name of the letter differs. I as the name, E is the sound. And notice the sound is not long. It is a short sound, so you don't have to prolong the pronunciation of the sound. I has the sound E. Let's take a look at how this letter is used or pronounced in the vocabularies that can be seen here. E, E, inflate, sit, mint, pig, ginger, thin, dictate, dim, dim, pin. Notice the difference in the name of the letter and the sound of the letter. I is being pronounced E, E as a short sound. Good. Now let's go and look at the last two vowels of this as a short sound. O, as can be seen from the left side of the screen, and U, as can be seen from the right side of your screen. Now, O and U are the name of the letters. However, these two letters have a common sound, which is A. So sometimes in some vocabularies, O and U produce the A sound. Notwithstanding, they still have their individual sound, which is popularly known O. For O, O. For O, U. For U, U. For U. So let me repeat it again. So the letter O and U have two sounds. They have a common sound, A. So sometimes O and U produce the sound A in some words. However, they have their individual sounds of O, O, and U. For you, U. Don't worry, I know you'll be panicking right now, but you don't need to be wondering, okay? You don't need to be nervous right now about when to use these sounds. As in this series of lessons, you would understand when to use each of these sounds. Now, let's take an example of when this A sound is very eminent and very important in using. So the first rules of pronunciation says, now if a word is a one syllable, okay, So by one syllable, it means that there is only one sound in the word. And that word has 3 letters in it. And within that word, the vowel that can be found in that word is an O or a U. Excuse me. Then in such situation, the sound becomes a. The sound becomes a. Let's take an example. Sun. From the left, mom. Notice how the O is pronounced as a. Sun, un, sun, un. Mom, mom, wow, bow, cow, mow. In the same way, the letter U is pronounced as a when the word is a 3-letter word and the vowel that can be found in it is a U. So as an example, sun, fun, gun, gum, mom, cut, cup. Notice how O and U in this sense has turned into an A sound in the letters. Remember the rules again. If the word is a 3-letter word and the vowel that can be found in those words are O or a U, or is O or a U, then in such cases, the sound it produces is an A sound. So that's the rule, basic rule 1. Let's look at basic rule number 2. What if the letter is not a 3-letter word? Well, the rule still stands and say so long as it is a 1-syllable word and it has more than 3 letters in it, then the sound maintains and it's still pronounced as a. As can be seen from here, shut, shut, sound, bound, pound, muff, muff, month, month. Now, looking at the same example for the U sound, bubble, bubble, fumble, fumble, muppet, muppet, tumble, tumble, so month and month. Now, these rules are applicable and it's very important learners of English understand O and U and how it read as O and A and U. The rules are very simple. If the word is a 1-syllable word and it is a 3-letter or more than 3-letter word, then it is read as an A sound. However, yes, there will be some exceptions, and these exceptions will be discussed in the later part of our lessons. This is the basic rule number 2. Thank you very much for joining the second episode of this lesson. I would like to thank you very much and see you next